Lots of sun and the weather is definitely heating up. Most of the trees changed colors already too, I guess. And with that in mind, what did I read today? How about this one? In some places it wasn't so rosy. Some drone attacks. Apparently here it was a Freedom Flotilla ship. It says it was subjected to a drone attack. The front of the vessel was targeted twice, resulting in a fire and a breach in the hull. The ship is currently located in international waters near Malta. An SOS distress signal was sent. So it seems like there was aid material on the ship, and there were about 12 crew members and 4 civilians, and apparently they did not want to leave the ship, but ultimately there were no serious injuries or anything like that. And there was apparently 2 large holes left on the deck. By the way, I guess the fighting and stuff continues around the world, huh? And with drones, actually, apparently that came up now in regards to that unfortunate incident with the Lapu-Lapu Day Festival here in Vancouver, where a person rammed their vehicle through a bunch of bystanders, resulting in about 11 deaths. And apparently, according to this, they're saying he may have had a drone. They don't know why. This one here says, Lapu-Lapu Day attack suspect had a drone in his possession, sources say. Days after the disturbing mass killing at the Lapu-Lapu Festival in Vancouver, there are new questions about that night. Questions that involve possible evidence and intent. Sources have told Global News that murder suspect Kaiji Adam Lowe had in his possession at the time of the incident a drone. It remains unclear why he had the drone or how it was used. So are they saying they found it in the vehicle, for example? It says, was the drone flown to view the area beforehand? Was anything recorded? Police won't answer those questions, nor will they say if the drone forms part of their investigation. Vancouver police continue to seek first-hand video and witnesses. What you have to say is incredibly important to us. We want to speak to you. We invite you to come forward and share your first-person account of what happened, Vancouver Police Sergeant Steve Addison said. As the investigation continues and BC's Mental Health Act faces a review, a number of municipalities are calling on the province to improve mental health care supports. That actually gets me to think a lot in terms of the topic of drones in this instance anyways, because one, as you know, they recently fear-mongered micro-drones here in Canada around advertised events and so forth, saying it's for people's safety and all that. Yet here, as you see, there's other things you should be worried about in terms of protecting people. For example, to my knowledge, there was so much oversight in this event where they didn't even use vehicles to block off the roads, where normally they would use something like garbage trucks, for example, but for this they decided, okay, they didn't feel they needed it. Yet for some reason, the country's focus is in banning things like toys, saying that's going to create like mass murder and so forth. Now, one thing that could come up in this situation potentially is if this guy actually used the drone to scout out the area to find a place with a lot of people to drive through per se, then a lot of people could say, well, there's your example, you need to ban them all and so forth. At the same time with that talk, like how the police say they want people to come forward with information and videos and so forth, before they did all this fear-mongering and stuff with things like the micro-drones and all that, people were flying around various places. Let's just say like near events to document the area for fun and all that. Can you imagine if they didn't commercialize it, charge a ridiculous fee, for example, just for people to do that? You'd have more people actually gathering that type of video evidence and potentially as well being able to see this ahead of time. Hey, what's that speeding vehicle coming from far away? You can't rule that out too, in my opinion, as there's a lot of people who use it in a safe way, and you could actually witness something that could help someone else. I mean, case in point, remember when I accidentally captured that car crash with my drone, and they were able to use it to figure out, okay, who was wrong and who was in the right and all that? And with that topic of mental health, actually, what made me think is how a lot of people in this case are saying how they need more resources to deal with it. For example, opening up various institutions to handle people like this. But at the same time, I'm always wondering, okay, how did the person get to that position in the first place? Because many times for a lot of people who, I guess you could say, suffer from these type of conditions, they feel like, let's just say, outcast, there's no one to talk to and so forth. And when it comes to things like hobbies and so forth, that's one way to actually stop people from going insane per se, like take your mind off it and do something. And when it comes to things like a drone actually, or anything in general like a hobby, especially here, it seems like almost everything is quote illegal. If you try to do something fun and safe, nope, that's illegal here and there. I mean, most people don't know, but even in most parks, if you're passing like a soccer ball or something for another person in an open field, you're technically breaking the law because it's not in a quote designated field. I mean, most people don't know that, but that's how it's like. And for things like drones, look at how they fear-mongered it, like toys and so forth. So imagine for a person who actually used that as a hobby before, as a way to relax, now you're making all that stuff illegal too. What do you think is going to happen for people like that when they don't really have anything, I guess you could say, constructive to do or have some kind of outlet? I mean, that's actually a serious thought. Do people actually consider that in terms of not just finding ways to, I guess, fix the problem when it's there, but how do you prevent it in the first place? I mean, to me, it's kind of like health issues in general. I'm talking about like physical ones, for example. You could create all the medicine and drug this guy, for example, to try to fix him and all that, but I'd be wondering initially, okay, how did you get in that situation? You need to find ways to prevent it ahead of time, for example. I mean, either way, it's no excuse for someone to do this, obviously, but it's something to think about in terms of there's a problem in the bigger picture overall. Although on a lighter note, in terms of drones, apparently there was a bunch of leaks in terms of an upcoming DJI Mavic 4 Pro drone. Keep in mind these are quote leaks, although it seemed like some stores actually leaked this out too. It apparently has a 4/3 CMOS sensor, a 100 MP effective pixels. As well, they seem to have a 2-camera system, kind of like the other ones, so they're continuing with that. And as well, it says it has forward-facing LiDAR. That was a talk actually where apparently this might actually be in the new mini drone as well. And in terms of the price, I guess a lot of people are wondering, is it going to be really expensive just with all that tariff war and stuff around the world? Apparently it's going to come out at about $2,500 US, so it's about in line in general anyways for these types of drones nowadays, but they're coming soon, I suppose. Could they actually be rushing it out because of things like tariffs and all that too, before they get too expensive, I guess, for most people? All right, see you guys later.